Welcome back to Spider-Man 2002.
Alright then. We.
So, Peter gets into his office. Yes, there's actually an office in this building of death.
Okay.
Oscorp.
Alright, so let's see if we can find out about who the Green Goblin is. Maybe he has his identity listed in some of his files or something.
Which are conveniently laid on the desk.
What's this? Project Black
Oh shit!
Sun?
He has a picture of Mary Jane. And that somehow makes him conclude that he's after Mary Jane.
Well, whatever the reason, I guess. Hurry up! Mary Jane,
Peter, you still don't know. This is Norman Osborn's office. You still didn't find out that Norman Osborn is the Green Goblin. So as far as you can tell, maybe he just has a picture of his son's girlfriend for one particular reason that maybe he's preparing.
Guys, what time are you at?
Go to 1 minute and a half.
Okay, guys, so, you thought we were done with the wackiness of this building? Oh,
Jeez.
The hell's with that
they
voice?
have robots that will kill people!
With extreme prejudice.
Yeah. Alright, Shiroi, are you able 130?
Yep.
Alright.
I was there.
Don't worry, you're not missing anything.
Question, Peter, why didn't you just
And click.
There you go.
Also, doesn't the Goblin attacks Aunt May first before?
No. In
Mary Jane?
In the game, he goes straight for Mary Jane.
Okay.
Also, they don't even show Mary Jane breaking up with Harry.
Not just that, Jova. They don't.
Harry's not even in this game, I think.
Not even.
Oh, he was in this game. He was in that one cutscene right before the Green Goblin attacked, kissing Mary Jane while Peter was watching.
Not even that. You know what's interesting also as well? The Green Goblin never actually finds out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker in this version of the story.
Huh.
So that's kind of interesting. So that's
He
kind of
just
interesting.
knows that Mary Jane may or may not have a thing for Spider-Man or whatever.
Yeah.
Funny thing though, you actually do get to play as Harry Osborn in the Goblin campaign.
I will be showing that a bit off, but trust me, you don't want to see the whole thing. It's incredibly redundant, and I'll explain how.
Okay.
You'll see how in the next part.
I mean,
jeez, what the fuck?
Admittedly, the gameplay for the Goblin is actually pretty neat. I will give it that.
Yeah, it is,
So
but it can only carry so much because the story is just a pointless retread.
Yeah, I do say I wish they'd done more with the story. I do appreciate that they actually give different lines and heck, even explain why there are two goblins in the campaign. So
Naturally,
there's
don't.
that,
That's the problem, Jova. We never learned who the hell that alternate goblin with a deeper voice is. The game just ends and there's no cutscene to explain anything.
Oh, I know that. What I'm saying is like, well, they at least, they make sure that it's not just Norman Osborn.
Oh, jeez.
again.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Jova. They never explain who he is, so it just creates confusion.
Hobgoblin, maybe?
To be freaking out in here.
No,
Yeah.
Teo, the Hobgoblin doesn't exist in this in the Raimi universe.
I mean, there are also... Yeah, I know, but considering we're
Remind me,
taking
Pedro.
characters that were not in the Raimi movies anyway. I mean, and there's a fuck ton of different goblins in the Spider-Man Rules Gallery.
Well, here's the thing, too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Hobgoblin always sounds very, kind of with a kind of goofy, cocky voice. He doesn't sound all deep and like the one.
Depends. There was a point where there was a point where he became the Goblin Knight and he was all edgy and shit with a flaming sword.
Hold on. But wasn't that a different Hobgoblin than...
Well, the Hobgoblin identity was passed through like 5 different people anyway. Trust me, when it comes to the different goblins and anything in the Spidey Villains Rogue Gallery, it's a clusterfuck almost as bad as Jean Grey's backstory.
Anyway,
Hey,
what
how
we're
about
supposed...
the original Hobgoblin, yo?
Yeah. Anyway, what we're supposed to do here is there's no stealth, obviously, as you can see, because you're already determined to be caught by script reasons. So what you have to do is you have to try your best to go to the computer so you can turn off the laser barriers, and try your best to get the fuck out of Oscorp before the robots murder you. The problem is it's easier said than done because these fucking robots are all over the place and they can damage you real good.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Peter, why didn't you just swing out the window?
Thank you. I don't understand.
That big a
The developers really wanted an excuse for a level like this, so there you go.
I mean, it's not like we just it's not like we didn't just have a level where, we're fighting against a giant mech or something. No, we have to add this in now and that.
And now we can escape through the vent.
I can just imagine the crazy office days when these robots accidentally mistake the staff for an intruder. Those days must be really fun.
Oh no, Larry, and it was just 2 days left before retirement.
Yeah.
Honey, why do you have blood and smoldering ruins on your clothes? The security system glitched.
Oh, it's one of those days.
Robot, why were you just walking away from me? Hello,
Bye.
I'm here.
Brilliant.
Okay, got friends.
Maybe
Again.
that's what he did. He went to call his friends or something.
But then they walked away again. Huh.
All right,
So long, suckers.
and that's it.
Okay. Well, okay. Can somebody please sue Oscorp for needless endangerment? Like, I don't care if someone's breaking and entering. That security system is cruel.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, Mary Jane's face. No.
Wait, I love this line coming
You'll
up.
see. You'll see. Ah, no! Jesus Christ.
Also, she left
this
the
one.
keys on the exterior part.
Mary, you really let yourself go, didn't you?
She really overdid it on the Botox.
I love that line he says. Tough day at the office. Mine was a killer. Well, gee, maybe your days at the office are killer are because of...
Make sure to stay close to Goblin. If you lose him, you'll never see Mary Jane again. Oh no! How will I cope without this incarnation of Mary Jane?
How about having Black Cat instead? I never realized why almost never.
Jova, even though I know you're a big fan of the Sam Raimi films, but can you honestly defend Mary Jane?
I don't think even Jova defends Mary Jane, honestly. But anyway,
I don't.
Dwibs, Jova is a comic book fan. He knows what the real Mary Jane is supposed to behave like, so I'm pretty sure.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Raimi trilogy, but if there's one thing they did that was very hit and miss was Mary Jane. She was done better in some cases, but a lot of cases she did the ever so stupid. Oh,
she's just a dumb slut. And they removed all traces of the witty personality that she had.
And
Most
it's
people find her
weird because
annoying.
it's weird because Sam Raimi did the Xena TV series, and that's essentially like a Wonder Woman TV series. It's all about female empowerment and shit. So what went wrong here?
And it's really weird because, the one time that Mary Jane finally tries to step out of her terror persona is in Spider-Man 3. Ain't that some messed up crud?
To go back to earlier to that line that Jova was talking about, that's the problem, Jova. That joke doesn't make any sense in context because Mary Jane doesn't work at an office. She's an actress.
I guess he was just building off of her saying, "What a day."
Hey, Tio, you mentioned Xena earlier, and that Sam Raimi was involved in it.
Actually, it was like the director or producer or anything. He was the major part of it.
Guess who else was involved in it?
Bruce Campbell. I know he guest starred as
No. I'm talking about just staff. Orky and Kurtzman, who are going to write Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That reminds me, Shiroi. That reminds me, Shiroi. After this, I'm gonna have to show you.
They kind of got screwed over.
True, they did.
After this, I'm gonna have to show Shiroi a clip from the Spider-Man '90s cartoon, so she can get a better picture of what we're talking about in terms of Mary Jane's original characterization. Anyway, Mary Jane kidnapped. Well, that's done.
Moving on.
Gee, breaking news.
Bada beam, boom, boom.
Make sure to get Mary Jane to a safe place before you take on Gauntlet, because we kind of jumped the gun. We didn't have Gwen Stacy first, so we're going to have her be dropped over the bridge instead of Gwen.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, that wouldn't be the first time they've done it, just replacing Mary Jane with Gwen Stacy. Animated series also did that.
True. Well, the thing is with the 90s cartoon had Felicia Hardy and other alternate. They didn't actually have a Gwen Stacy, but what they did do with the new love interest was actually pretty fine. So I didn't mind it as much, honestly.
And honestly, I will say
they got Mary Jane so right anyway, so I didn't mind.
I will say this, honestly. Yes, we all remember Gwen Stacy, but people tend to put the original Gwen Stacy on a bit of a pedestal without remembering how she was. Like,
True.
the original Gwen Stacy was...
Daredevil was important because it signed the end of the Silver Age and everything, but the character itself was not really that much to speak of.
Not really.
The person we actually liked was her father, Captain Stacy. But Gwen Stacy herself was kind of selfish.
That's one thing.
Her into trying to like and love her.
That's one thing that the web movies did really well, updating Gwen Stacy. But anyway, this is how this boss works. Basically, you have to decrease the blue bar, and then he'll quit the glider. And then when he's on the ground, that's when you can hurt the red bar. Pretty much like with the Vulture boss battle.
Now the difference here is that you also have to watch out for his glider too. Like
this is literally the previous boss battle we had against the Green Goblin, but on steroids, basically.
Yeah, and I will admit it is actually relatively fun. I mean, if there's one thing I would improve, it would definitely be making this gameplay be like that of later Spider-Man games, specifically Spider-Man 2. That game's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of
of course, the console version.
Yeah, speaking of the first Raimi movie, as much as that bit, the bit where he's about to be stabbed by his own glider, and he goes, "Oh,
yeah, go with God, Spider-Man or something."
It happens here as well.
Yeah, where he goes, "Oh," I mean, it's funny and all, but it's a really piss poor edit, that bit, wasn't it?
It was.
He goes from holding his hands in front of his face to all of a sudden it being at his sides and him going, "Oh."
To be fair, continuity errors like those are very common in movies.
To be unfair, Pedro, look how much money that cost.
Oh, come on!
You think at least one person would have noticed?
Anyway,
it's kind of a
cutscene.
blink and you'll miss it sort of deal.
Yeah, I agree.
It's plain noticeable. Oh, hello.
I would have never thought.
Mr. Osborn.
Mr. Osborn.
Alright, you might remember how the line at the end that he said in the movie was, "Don't tell Harry." In here, they changed it a bit.
Ah, that sound effect. Jesus God.
Why didn't go, "Oh."
And of course, it doesn't look like he's been stabbed, but I guess you couldn't be too violent.
Gotta keep it PG for the kids.
Tell Harry. I'm sorry.
Which he does not do in the games, as far as I'm aware, so...
What a dick.
Also, this music is horrible.
Oh, I love this one, I love this one. Check this out, too. Yeah, in this version of the story, she just figures out that Peter is Spider-Man, because...
And they kiss in front of... And they kiss in front of the dead corpse of Norman
He's kissing
Osborn.
him with his mask on.
It would make sense if this was following the plot of the movie more closely, but Spider-Man and Mary Jane have barely interacted, so there's no real reason for her to think that.
I'm sorry, Dweebs. What's one of my more iconic moments of the movie? Mary Jane and Spider-Man kissing upside down, and she removes his mask partially.
Yeah.
Not only that, but
now we're kissing with the mask on.
Yeah,
it's like those clothed sex scenes in Right to Retribution.
Executive producer Dr. Peter, a doctor was involved as
Jova, remind me again, because it's been a while since I've played it. In Spider-Man 2, the game.
Nope, they did. Nope, they're not a couple at the start of the second game.
But
Jova, which second game? PC or
console? The one that
I don't know
the sequel to this game.
Remember, the PC version has quite a different story.
Whatever.
Okay,
I'm not familiar.
We'll talk about the console version.
Anyway, final thoughts. Yeah, it's a pretty. What?
I was gonna say though, yeah, despite the fact that they're not a couple, again, there's a secret boss in Spider-Man 2 who references the Kraven stuff. Calypso, Kraven's wife.
Anyway, final thoughts. This is a pretty damn good game for its time, if you ask me. Yeah, obviously it's not as good as the more open world games, but as far as linear Spider-Man games go, this is pretty good. If I think so. Yes, the plots sometimes get pretty stupid and out there with the whole giant mech stuff, but honestly, if you ask me, that's kind of part of its campy charm. If you ask me, the whole Kraven thing is stupid and sticks out like a sore thumb. Honestly. But for the sake of completionism, I guess we had to do this version for the sake of showing it. Aside from that, yeah, I like the story overall. I think it's well written. I actually kind of like this story better than the movie story. But and I really like that they went out of their way to get more Spider-Man villains from the comics. The gameplay is pretty good. I think it builds on. I know it's technically a different team, but it can tell it's building on the gameplay that started in the PS1 game. And it's very refined. It works really well. The music is bland. I don't even remember any of it. Sorry. The graphics are pretty good, especially for the time. I mean, obviously the CGI with that stupid Mary Jane face looks terrible and stuff like that. But for the time, it was fine. So yeah, pretty good game. Not the best, but hey, it's one of the first. So give it a pass there. All right, what do you think, too? Since you never played this one.
Yeah, it's fine enough on its own, pretty standard. Anything also for Dice.
Oh, just King plays Osborn. How about that?
Yeah, how ironic. Also, it feels a bit short on the side, even with the Craven episode. I mean, they could, despite adding stuff that wasn't in the movie, they still couldn't come up with many much set pieces to use in order to. And what they come out, some things they come up with, like that Craven level or the mech level, were just. Also,
the mech level, I applaud for being just a crazy, insane,
but if I had to be honest, when it comes to the Craven level, I still sticking to my point that yeah, it's bland, but if it was just paced better, he could have just passed like that, and people wouldn't have noticed or make it, say that it's bad. Here, it just, as Pedro said, sticks like a sore thumb, and not in a good way. So, yeah, that makes things aggravating. And also, again, Tobey Maguire's performance is
hit and miss here.
Yeah, let's just say that I don't know how the game is voiced, but let's just say that for the movies, I prefer the Italian voice actor they chose. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. Solid, fun, but not spectacular Spider-Man.
Can I go next?
Go ahead.
Sure.
It's fine. Graphics-wise, it's good. The gameplay looks solid enough.
Well, considering it builds on the PS1 game you did for us, what do you think of this as a refinement?
Yeah, it's a pretty good refinement, especially since you got more space for it to work around.
Mm-hmm.
But the story isn't really all that interesting, if I'm honest. Okay, I bash sound-alikes often. But considering Tobey Maguire's performance in this game, I actually kind of wish that they got a sound-alike, because at least a sound-alike could potentially sound like he gives a shit.
Well, Willem Dafoe was awesome, at least.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe was awesome, but everyone else is either okay or boring.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that we can definitely all agree on, it's that the voice cast does get better with each game.
Okay.
For all the problems Spider-Man 3 has, they actually get practically all the movie.
Thanks to Flavian for taking the red pill. Matrix reference. Thank you. Anyway.
I mean, voiceover is different from on-screen acting, so.
All right. So Shira, what do you think of the game?
Well, what everyone else said, but I'm kind of just wondering, like Tier said, where's the rest of the game?
Well, considering this is a licensed game, obviously they didn't have much time, so I'm going to give them a get-out-of-jail-free card on that, honestly, if you ask me. If the PS4 game is being made without the need to be a movie tie-ins, obviously it's going to be a lot better. But this one, of course, was forced to come out
considerably longer.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
This one obviously had to come out during the movie, so obviously they didn't have the time to make it that much. But for the time they had, I think they managed to add enough content.
Unless
the game itself is perfectly fine, but
all right, I'm gonna have to interrupt you guys there. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
The only question I was asking is unless the optional missions are a lot and they're just not worth to be shown.
All right, I'm gonna have to interrupt you there too. Okay, so there's 2 extra movies we can find in the movie viewer. The Vulture animation test. These were movies that they made specifically for testing their own animation. Basically a test before they actually got to making the actual proper in-game movies. And they left it in as an extra, so let's see.
Of course, the Daily Bugle.
Wee.
Notice my directing.
Hey, it's the underground scene from Amazing Spider-Man 1.
What the fuck? Gargamel, stop staring in my soul.
Hey, he looks nothing like Michael Keaton. 0 out of 10.
Again, dweebs, sadly enough, Michael Keaton is the least looking like the...
Why does he sound
Vulture.
like Tobey Maguire?
No, the irony of it is that he's
Yeah.
he's the least looking, but honestly,
he's the best.
but if you ask me, he's the best incarnation of the Vulture we've ever
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
Well-
have to agree.
Well, he's the only incarnation of the
No,
Vulture.
no, I'm not.
Movie-wise.
Well, actually, he's the only incarnation we've had movie-wise too. I'm speaking in general, honest. I never cared for the Vulture.
What he said.
I've never cared for the Vulture even in the comics, honestly. I think the Keaton version of the Vulture is the best we've ever had,
They
honestly.
took an interesting direction with the noir universe, but for the most part, I agree.
I never cared much for the Vulture in the comics, honestly.
I liked him in the comics, but I really.
So what's the
admit that-
other movie?
The Shocker animation
Shocker.
tests.
Yeah. Pedro, give me the anti-gravity gun.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Sheila.
Okay.
Keep going since this there's not that much dialogue in these.
Well, congratulations, dweebs. You accidentally incinerated Jova.
Oh,
Well, I
nice.
didn't really have
Excuse
anything else
me,
to
that
say,
was very
really.
rude of you.
I mean,
Pedro,
the game,
Sorry, go on.
the game itself was perfectly fine. I just don't really have much to say about it.
Sure.
Pedro, I thought you said this was the anti-gravity gun.
Look at the pretty bunny. Anyway, go ahead, Jova.
Okay, Tio, now you're the shocker.
Yay.
Wait, hold on. But in the movie, it's the black guy who becomes the shocker.
I pulled a role reversal.
Insert.
Dwebs, stop
minstrel
whitewashing.
joke- Insert minstrel joke. Racist minstrel joke here.
Anyway, go ahead, Jova. Final thoughts.
So yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, this is a pretty dang good game for its time, and heck, even to this day, it is definitely a game I come back to because it's a fun enough adaptation. I will admit though that Spider-Man 2 would be the movie adaptation game that would actually be able to add more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my only real complaints with this game are that some of the bits are a bit stilted here and there. Some of the detection could maybe be toned a bit for stuff like the stealth sections. And of course, well, obviously, if this game were to be remade, I would so request that they go with the gameplay style that Spider-Man 2 created because, now that is proper. But yeah, otherwise, I'd say this game's main weakness is that it's short.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because there's so much here, and I do like how they add in villains here and there. Except for the Craven stuff, because
There you go, Tail.
Hello, Toby.
The scene with the Green Goblin going to Aunt May is actually in the concept art. So apparently it was
They were
planned.
probably planning, but they couldn't actually implement it better, I guess.
my guess is that this game was the victim of the usual thing that happens with licensed.
Yeah, it has to
movies,
come out at the
games.
same time as the movie, so hurry it up.
I wonder how they
And
managed-
it's Activision we're talking about, so yeah.
I wonder how they managed to make Spider-Man 2 as good as it was. Did they actually give them time?
Well, here's the thing, Jova. The Spider-Man 2 came out 2 years after Spider-Man 1, so I'm guessing Treyarch had much more time for that one.
That sound effect.
So my wonder though is well, do you think that they made Spider-Man 2 as soon as they started production of the movie?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised considering how different, well, mostly different it is from the movie.
But yeah, altogether, this is a good game. Just needed to be longer.
Basically.
Thankfully, we get with Spider-Man 2.
All right, everybody. Before we finish, we have a second campaign to see. Let's just say they come up with an idea for a sequel that never actually happened. Well, until Spider-Man 3 anyway.
Basically, this was made before the actual Spider-Man 2 movie, so Yeah, they sequel hook us for some interesting things.
Let's just say
We'll see.
let's just say things are gonna get confusing. All right, see ya then, everybody.
Yay.